Yeah, so Amdaris are a software business. We were set up in 2009. We started very small, just a handful of us. Vlad and I met and we discussed about how we could do software development in a slightly different way. Our vision really was to be able to build really great software teams that had a surrounding of great processes and design and usability and all of that kind of stuff. Just really caring about doing software well, including both the coding and the design. So we scaled up over the years. I think we had a previous business partner that started with us, and he moved on around 2016, and I think that was a catalyst for Vlad and I to really accelerate the business, and that was when we really started to hit the really great growth rates above 40%. So for us, it's always been about building great software through software teams, and we've not really changed that too much. It's just been about doing that better and better and building out with bigger clients and building a reputation around delivering great services. The software teams we build deliver great results. So yeah, we've grown from just a handful of people up to over 450 now, and we're over 6 countries, and we're looking at a 7th. So it's been a really exciting journey.
The cool part about the skill gap is actually it's an effect, and then the interesting part about this effect is actually the gap is driven by the rise in technology, which means there are actually more cool stuff in development of different levels, so different organizations, different companies, startups, and established businesses. And actually, as a result, we get the skill gap, which should be seen as something extremely good, right? And in Bristol, we see that gap quite extensively, which means even better, because that means there's a lot of activity in the Southwest, and Bristol being one of the hub city. And so we see this as only as a very positive opportunity creation type of phenomenon. We don't see this as a problem as such. So the gap needs to be filled. But what's really interesting about this is if there are more activities, more tech activities in the region. Let's take, for instance, Southwest. Although we see these pockets everywhere. Amdaris is an international company. We are competing on a global market. But let's just say we take Decision as an example. The interesting fact is that actually more companies and more tech talent, the deficit is created. There are other roles which also needs to be fulfilled, right? So all these startups, all this IT community, as it grows, it drags other roles as well. So that gap is created not necessarily in the tech sector only, it's creating everywhere, and is driven by the tech sector. And that's really, really exciting. So the way we're dealing with that is actually investing in all these roles, again, driven by the tech, but we're investing in everything. We are, hiring pretty much in any roles. We are growing our own talents. We have internships, again, in any roles. We started to help people to see their career opportunities not just going upwards, but actually left and right as well. We had success stories when people would join finance, for example, and then they will end up becoming data scientists with our support and investment, which means their career didn't really necessarily went there as a different role, but we kind of moved them into IT left and right, and the other way around as well. So we see this as a driving force, where actually there is a lot of creative ways of fulfilling this gap. There will be enough talent, right? We just need to be very creative and support each other. We don't necessarily have to see, our IT community as something localized. We have to see IT market as a globalized. We have to look at this as a global. And I think where the real investment and care should be done in actually creating new ideas, new startups, new innovation. And then that does drag everybody else behind, because what I'm trying to say, that's a good problem to have. Now imagine if we would have been the other way around, where we would have had thousands of developers with no jobs, right? That's even worse. So having this investment, having this demand, it's actually a fantastic news for the region and for Bristol, because although we see same positive stuff in other regions around the world, we also see regions which are actually underdeveloped in IT. and actually they don't want to invest in IT, and actually there is no demand. There are developers there doing nothing. So as it is, it's actually the right balance. It has to be tilted towards the deficit. It shouldn't be the other way around. And this is where Amdaris comes and helps to close this gap through Amdaris expertise and developers.
In the short term, there's obviously a problem. Okay, and what happens when there's a short-term problem is it generally results in a switch to greater investment in grassroots and training and educating more young people into engineering, software engineering, and IT as a whole. And I think this is important, because what we're going to see is a slower trajectory of growth, because inevitably the tech sector is going to grow and grow. There's such a great demand, and grassroots wise, that will start to produce more and more developers and engineers and QAs and business analysts and product owners, scrum masters, etc. What does that help? That doesn't really help in the short term, right? Because you've got a lot of need now. I think inevitably, if you are going to build a team in a locality like Bristol or something in the southwest, then there could be limits to your growth. And I think that's a lot of people are realizing that they're just not going to be able to build a big enough team. And I think that's where Vlad's point about the global marketplace comes in, because yes, you might over a period of 5-10 years see an increase in the overall numbers of engineers, etc. But that's going to be too slow for a lot of projects. So therefore, people have to sort of start to think, what other ways creatively can we solve that shortage?
We see talent as a never-ending story. We always develop talent. For us, talent and hiring and internship and the amount of time and investment we do in our talent is statistically higher than anybody else. We're great believers in everybody should have a career, everybody should have a future, everybody should have an entry point and an exit point. And that may sound counterintuitive, but for us, a successful exit when somebody was handhunted by a big, massive corporation with a super big salary, for us, it's a success story. That means, well, look, we developed someone. So for us, that's a never-ending story. Every single day, we work on how do we develop someone's career? How do we make someone's job fun, happy, healthy? We invest in everything from mental health, simple things like mental health, all the way to career progression, all the stuff. We have a massive HR department, way oversized comparing to the size of our company.
I think people have to invest in their businesses and the culture and the working environments, because ultimately that's what's going to attract talent. And if you if you struggle with that, then that's going to make it harder in a very competitive marketplace. But we're very bold with our recruitment. We don't sort of say, oh, it's very competitive and give up. We do everything we can to be competitive and to make ourselves stand out. And not only is that about the journey for the employee, but it's also about the brand, the business, and how you can create a really exciting company brand that people are drawn towards. And part of that will be the journey that they get to go on being part of it. I really like the work that a lot of the incubators are doing in the Southwest, and a lot of investment from some of the big banks and other large corporates into the region have really helped. And I think that needs to carry on, and there needs to be a lot of support for tech entrepreneurs and startups and ideas. I know the universities are really involved in that, and shouting about Bristol and the Southwest being a great place to attract people to do that. It's a great city to live and work, right? So it's got a great culture, and that's not just Bristol, but some of the other places around the Southwest as well. And I think what's really exciting is that if you've got all of that, you've got a good population, good universities, good investment in startups and tech entrepreneurs, then you create a really dynamic environment where you attract bigger corporates into the city as well, and you get a really nice environment of sort of collaboration between big corporates, startups, universities, all of that working together towards creating this great ecosystem. And I think we've got that ecosystem and it just needs to be invested in further and market itself as well in the country.
In the last 10 years, we've seen this effect. We've seen regions which didn't invest in IT and startups and businesses, regions which did. And the ones which succeeded is actually those regions which did, because business drives the demand. You have to seed a lot of demand and innovation and businesses, and developers around the country will actually move to Bristol. We've seen that, and a lot of regions, successful regions, done exactly the same. Few plans here. We want to become the biggest IT company in the region, in the Southwest. We would like to employ more people in Bristol. We want to specialize in UI UX and become the kind of the largest specialized UI UX, local UI UX experts. Obviously, we offer other services like software development and application support and all that stuff. But that specific service we'd like to run exclusively from Bristol and be the biggest. When it comes to the regional ambition, the national ambition, we want to expand, hit 1,000 people soon, and 2,000 and so on.
So we've got plans for new centres, and that's going to be really exciting in terms of our international expansion and also growing our sales outreach to more geographies. But I think in Bristol is our home, it's our HQ, it's where we're sort of proud to have established the business from, and so we very much like to see that investment in Bristol, and the UI UX product team stuff that we're investing in now is really exciting, and we've grown, even over the last 18 months, we've grown the team hugely, and so we see a lot of demand for the whole sort of product development side, and so it is really exciting, and will be to the extent that we're going to run out of space in our office and have to look for new ways to grow and expand as well, because we've got quite an ambitious hiring plan for the upcoming year.